I never thought a single voicemail could break a family. If someone had told me that one small notification on my phone would tear apart years of love, trust, and silence, I would have laughed, but I was wrong. That morning started like any other quiet morning. No warning, no signs, no feeling in my chest telling me that everything was about to change. I was standing in the kitchen holding a warm cup of coffee, staring out the window. House was still too still. My phone buzzed once on the counter. I almost ignored. I wish I had the screen lit up. Unknown voicemail. No name, no number. Something fell off like my body knew the truth before my mind. Did he press play? At first there was silence. Then a voice, a familiar voice. My heart stopped. It was my brother, and he was not alone. The message was not meant for May. Knew that immediately. His voice sounded relaxed, almost proud. He laughed quietly. She still has no idea, not a clue. Tomorrow everything moves forward, and she will never see it coming, a woman replied. Softly, you are sure the papers are ready? Once this is done, there is no going back, my brother answered without hesitation. Everything is set. By this time tomorrow, the family will be forced to accept it. The voicemail ended. No goodbye, no explanation, just silence. I stood there, frozen, my coffee forgotten, my hands shaking. My brother, my own blood, talking about something hidden, something planned, something that involved our family, and someone was about to be hurt. I replayed the voicemail again and again. Each time it cut deeper, the way he spoke, so calm, so confident, like he had already won. My mind raced through possibilities. Money, property, secrets, lies. But one thing was clear. This voicemail was not an accident. It was a mistake that landed in my hands. I sat down slowly as the weight of it pressed on my chest. My thoughts felt loud, messy. Our family had always looked perfect from the outside. Sunday dinners, birthday calls, holiday smiles. But perfection hides cracks, and cracks hide rot growing up. My brother was always the golden one. The one everyone trusted, the one our parents defended no matter what. I was the quiet one, the observer, the one who noticed things but stayed silent to keep peace. And now peace was gone. I checked the voicemail. Details again, still unknown. That made it worse. Who was the woman? Why tomorrow? What were they forcing the family to accept? I thought about my mother, her soft voice, her belief that family comes before everything. I thought about my father, proud, strong, blind when it came to his son, and I thought about myself standing in the middle, holding the truth. I told myself to breathe, to slow down, but panic came anyway. My phone buzzed again. A message from my brother. Hey, can we meet later? Important family stuff. My stomach dropped. Family stuff. He had no idea that his secret was already sitting in my pocket. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Sure. What time? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Finally, tonight after dinner. Tonight's so tomorrow was not the beginning. Tonight was the setup. I spent the rest of the day moving like a ghost, doing normal things, answering normal questions, but nothing felt normal. Every sound felt louder, every thought heavier. That voicemail kept replaying in my head like a warning siren. By afternoon, I had convinced myself of one thing: this was bigger than me. If I stayed quiet, someone innocent would pay the price, but if I spoke up, I would be the one who shattered the family. I had always been the peacemaker, one who avoided conflict, but this was not about peace. It was about truth. As evening came, the sky darkened, clouds rolled in heavy and slow. It felt symbolic, like the world itself knew what was coming. Dinner at my parents' house was tense, even though no one else seemed to notice. My brother sat across from me, laughing, talking, acting like nothing was wrong. Every smile felt fake, every word rehearsed. I watched him carefully, trying to see the man from the voicemail, and I did. It was there, in the confidence, in the way he avoided my eyes. After dinner, he stood up and said, let's talk in the living room. All of us, my heart started pounding. This was it. Everyone gathered. My parents sat on the couch. I leaned against the wall. My brother stood in the center like he was about to give a speech. I have something important to share. This might shock you, but it's for the best. My mother looked confused. My father leaned forward. I waited, but before he could continue, my phone buzzed. Another voicemail from the same unknown number. I didn't answer, but the vibration felt like a countdown. My brother continued, tomorrow things will change, but I need you all to trust me. Trust. The word echoed in my head. I looked at him and realized something terrifying. He believed he was untouchable, that no one would challenge him, that the truth would stay buried. He was wrong. But I still didn't speak not yet because deep down I knew that. Voicemail was only the beginning. Whatever he was planning, whatever he thought he controlled, would be exposed not with anger, not with chaos, but with truth, and tomorrow our family would never be the same asterisk. That night no one slept. The house felt broken. Like a place that no longer knew what it was supposed to protect, my mother stayed on the couch wrapped in a blanket, her eyes red, her hands trembling. My father paced back and forth, slow, heavy steps, each one filled with anger he had never learned how to release. And May sat at the dining table, staring at my phone, waiting, because I knew something else was coming. My brother did not come back that night. No call, no message, silence. But silence does not mean peace. Silence means things are moving in the dark. Around midnight, my phone vibrated an email. Notification, known sender, subject line. You deserve. The truth, my heart raced. I opened it. Attached were documents, multiple files, legal forms, bank statements. I scrolled slowly, my hands shaking, and with every page, the betrayal became clear. My brother had been planning this for months, maybe longer. He had been working with a lawyer, the same woman from the voicemail. She wasn't just a voice, she was his partner in all of this. The documents showed transfers, property changes, authority shifts. He was moving everything into his name, slowly, quietly, all under the excuse of helping our parents. But that wasn't the worst part. Buried deep in the paperwork was a clause. Once finalized, our parents would lose control. They would still live comfortably, still feel safe, but the power, the decisions, the future, all of it would belong to him. I felt sick. This wasn't protection. This was control. At the bottom of the email, a message he thinks no one will ever check. He thinks fear will keep you quiet, but if this goes through tomorrow, there is no undoing it. There was no signature, but I didn't need one. The woman from the voicemail, or someone close to her, had decided to talk. Why? I didn't know. Guilt, fear, regret. It didn't matter. What mattered was time. I printed everything, page after page, proof in black. And what as the printer hummed, I felt something shift inside me. Fear turned into focus. This wasn't about family drama anymore. This was about stopping something wrong. Morning came fast, too fast. My parents looked exhausted, like they had aged years overnight. I placed the documents on the table. My father stared at them, his hands shaking as he flipped through the pages. My mother whispered, "He wouldn't do this." My brother arrived later that morning. He knew immediately. He saw the papers, the tension, the way no one looked at him. "What is this?" he asked. Though his voice lacked confidence, my father stood. "You tell us." My brother scanned the documents, his face draining of color. "Who gave you these?" he snapped. I stepped forward. "That doesn't matter anymore." He ran a hand through his hair. "This was for your own good." My mother's voice broke. "You went behind our backs." His silence said everything. That was the moment the family cracked, not shattered. Not yet, but fractured. Trust, broken doubt, planted. My brother left the room without another word. The door slamming behind him, my mother collapsed onto the couch, crying. My father looked at me, pain and confusion in his eyes. "What else don't we know?" I didn't answer, because deep down I knew this was still only the surface, and tomorrow everything would be exposed. That night, no one slept. The house felt broken, like a place that no longer knew what it was supposed to protect. My mother stayed on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, her eyes red, her hands trembling. My father paced back and forth, slow, heavy steps, each one filled with anger he had never learned how to release. And May sat at the dining table, staring at my phone, waiting, because I knew something else was coming. Around midnight, my phone vibrated. An email notification, unknown sender, subject line, "You deserve." The truth, my heart raced. I opened it. Attached were documents, multiple files, legal forms, bank statements. I scrolled slowly, my hands shaking, and with every page, the betrayal became clear. My brother had been planning this for months, maybe longer. He had been working with a lawyer, the same woman from the voicemail. She wasn't just a voice, she was his partner in all of this. The documents showed transfers, property changes, authority shifts. He was moving everything into his name, slowly, quietly, all under the excuse of helping our parents. But that wasn't the worst part. Buried deep in the paperwork was a clause. Once finalized, our parents would lose control. They would still live comfortably, still feel safe, but the power, the decisions, the future, all of it would belong to him. I felt sick. This wasn't protection. This was control. At the bottom of the email, A message he thinks no one will ever check. He thinks fear will keep you quiet. But if this goes through tomorrow, there is no undoing it there. It was no signature, but I didn't need one. The woman from the voicemail or someone close to her had decided to talk why I didn't know guilt, fear. Regret it didn't matter. What mattered was time I printed everything page after page, proof in black, and what as the printer hummed, I felt something shift inside me. Fear turned into focus. This wasn't about family drama anymore. This was about stopping something wrong morning. Came fast, too fast. My parents looked exhausted like they had aged years overnight. I placed the documents on the table. My father stared at them, his hands shaking as he flipped through the pages. My mother whispered, "He would never do this." But the truth was right there. When my brother arrived later that morning, he knew immediately. He saw the papers, the tension, the way no one looked at him. "What is this?" he asked. Though his voice lacked confidence, my father stood. "You tell us my brother scanned the documents, his face draining of color. Who gave you these?" He snapped. I stepped forward. "That doesn't matter anymore." He ran a hand through his hair. "This was for your own good." My mother's voice broke. "You went behind our backs." His silence said everything. That was the moment the family cracked, not shattered, not yet, but fractured trust. Broken doubt planted. My brother left the room without another word. The door slamming behind him, my mother collapsed onto the couch. Crying, my father looked at me, pain and confusion in his eyes. "What else don't we know?" I didn't answer, because deep down I knew this was still only the surface, and tomorrow everything would be exposed. Asterisk, the drive to the office was quite too quiet. My father kept both hands tight on the steering wheel, his jaw locked, his eyes fixed on the road, like if he looked away, everything would fall apart. My mother sat in the back seat, staring out the window, not crying anymore. That scared me more than the tears in May. Sat beside her, holding the folder of documents, the proof, the truth. Every red light felt like an enemy. Every slow car like a warning. We were racing time, and time was not on our side. No. One spoke because what was there to say? Words would not fix what had already been done. They would not rewind the months of lies. The quiet planning, the false smiles. This was not a family argument. This was a breaking point. When we arrived, the building looked normal, clean, professional, harmless. That made it worse. Kind of place where life-changing decisions are made calmly, without emotion, without regret. Inside the waiting area, the air smelled like paper and polish. My brother was already there, sitting comfortably, leg crossed, phone in hand, like this was just another task on his list. He looked up and smiled, a confident, practiced smile. "You made it," he said. My father didn't answer. The woman from the voicemail stepped out of an office, tall, well-dressed. Her expression unreadable. She froze for just a moment when she saw us all together, just long enough. She knew. "Good afternoon," she said professionally. "Shall we begin?" My brother stood. "Of course." Before anyone moved, I spoke. "Before anything begins, there are questions." The woman glanced at my brother. He nodded quickly. "Fine," he said. "Ask." I opened the folder, spread the documents across the table. "These were not explained," I said. Woman's eyes flickered. She looked away. My father leaned forward. "You were moving everything into his name without our consent." The woman cleared her throat. "Technically, consent was obtained." My mother's voice was quiet. When the woman hesitated, my brother jumped in. "You signed papers months ago." My mother shook her head. "We were told they were temporary permissions." The room felt heavy. I watched the woman carefully. Her hands were trembling slightly. "You did not explain the long-term impact." My father said. She swallowed. "My client handled family communication." My brother glared at her. That was the first crack. I slid another paper forward. "This clause removes their authority permanently." Silence. The woman looked at it, then closed her eyes. "This is not how it was supposed to happen," she whispered. My brother snapped. "Stop talking." She stood up suddenly. "I can't." Virioni turned. "I warned you," she said to my brother. "I told you this would destroy them." My brother's face went red. "You said it was legal." "It is legal," she replied, "but it's not right." The room changed. The truth was no longer just ours. It was public. My father stood. "This meeting is over." My brother laughed. "You can't stop it now." I looked at him calmly. "Yes, we can." He handed the woman my phone. Messages. The voicemails, the threats. Her face went pale. "You used intimidation." She said. "He didn't answer." "You crossed a line." She continued. A woman turned to my parents. "If you do not sign today, nothing proceeds." My brother exploded. "You're betraying Mesh met his eyes. No one fixing a mistake. Security was called, voices raised. Tension thick, but there was no chaos, just truth heavy, undeniable. My brother was escorted out shouting, threatening, and then silence. We sat there, stunned. My brother's final words echoed outside the building. You haven't won. This isn't finished. The sky had darkened again, clouds heavy overhead. I felt it in my chest. He was right. This wasn't finished. This was only the calm before the storm. Asterisk. We did not celebrate. There were no hugs, no relief. Stopping the signing felt like pulling back from the edge of a cliff, but the ground beneath us was still crumbling. My brother was not the kind of person who accepted defeat. He never had been, and deep down, we all knew he would try. Again, back home, my parents sat in silence. The house felt unfamiliar, like it no longer trusted the people inside it. My mother finally spoke. What happens now? No one answered, because none of us truly knew that night. My father came to me quietly. He closed the door behind him, lowered his voice. He threatened us. He said, I looked at him. One before you came back inside, he said. He said he would make sure we regretted humiliating him. I felt anger rise. Cold focus. This was no longer just betrayal. This was danger. I realized something. Then if we stayed quiet, if we tried to fix this privately, he would control the story. He would paint himself as the victim, us as ungrateful, and eventually he would find another way in. So we needed to do something. He never expected. Expose the truth, not with shouting, not with fights, but with facts. The next morning, I contacted the person who sent the email. Using the address it came from, to my surprise, they replied it was her. The message was simply done protecting him. Tell me what you need. That was the turning point. Over the next few days, everything came together quietly. Bank records, emails, draft agreements, text messages, a full timeline, not just of what he tried to do, but how he did it, how he convinced, how he pressured, how he manipulated. We didn't rush. We let him believe he still had time. Meanwhile, we changed everything. New legal counsel, new protections, new boundaries. My parents updated their documents. Clear, fair, transparent, no loopholes, no control tricks. Then came the hardest part. The family. My brother had already started talking, spreading his version, playing the wounded son. So we invited everyone, aunts, uncles, cousins, not for a fight, for clarity. The living room filled slowly, voices low, tension high. My brother arrived late, confident again, smiling like he had already won. He didn't know, we didn't accuse. We showed one by one the documents, the messages. The voicemail. Silence filled the room. My brother laughed nervously. This is being twisted. I played the message. Again, his own voice. That ended the debate. No yelling, no chaos, just realization. The people he counted on, the ones he thought would defend him, did not. One by one, they looked away. My mother spoke last. You broke our trust and you scared us. My brother's confidence collapsed for the first time. He was alone, but revenge is not always about humiliation. Sometimes it's about consequences. We didn't destroy him. We shut him out legally, emotionally, completely. Access removed, authority gone. He lost what he wanted most, control. Asterisk.
The day everything truly came out did not begin with noise. It began with a quiet kind of fear. The kind that sits in your chest and refuses to move. The kind that reminds you that even when the truth wins, it still hurts. My parents woke up early that morning. Neither of them slept much. I could see it in their eyes. Tired. Heavy. Still trying to understand how their own child had planned to take their lives apart piece by piece. My mother sat at the kitchen table staring at her hands. She kept rubbing her fingers together, like she was trying to wash something away. I realized then, this was never her fault. Never my father's. Never mine. Some people choose control over love. And once they do, nothing else matters. That afternoon my brother came back. Uninvited. He stood at the front door like he still belonged there. Like nothing had changed. My father opened the door. Didn't step aside. What do you want? He asked. My brother's voice was calm. Too calm. We need to talk. This has gone far enough. We all sat in the living room again. The same room. But it felt smaller now. Colder. My brother looked at each of us, trying to read faces, trying to calculate. You embarrassed me, he said finally. In front of everyone. My mother spoke softly. You embarrassed yourself. I stepped in. No. The truth did. That was when he finally lost control. His voice rose. His words came fast. You had no right. You should have come to me. We could have handled this privately. Privately. Like the months he spent planning. Like the papers he hid. Like the fear he used. My father stood. You stopped being family the moment you tried to take our choices away. The room went still. My brother stared at him. Shock replacing anger. You don't mean that, he said. My father nodded. I do. Something inside my brother cracked. Not remorse. Not guilt. Panic. He realized then. Truly realized. He had lost. No control. No support. No leverage. He looked at me last. His voice low. You did this. I met his eyes. Calm. Steady. No. You did. He left again. This time slower. Heavier. And when the door closed, it didn't echo. It ended. The fallout came quietly over the next few days. Calls stopped. Messages went unanswered. The family didn't cut him off out of anger. They did it out of clarity. Trust once broken like that does not return easily. My parents changed their routines. Their habits. Their expectations. They started living again. Not in fear. Not in doubt. And I watched them slowly breathe again. Weeks passed. Then months. We heard things. That he blamed us. That he felt betrayed. But something important had changed. His words no longer controlled us. The truth had already spoken. Loud enough. Clear enough. And in that silence that followed, we finally felt safe. Time does something strange after betrayal. Days move slowly. But months disappear. At first everything felt fragile. Like one wrong word could reopen wounds. Like one memory could pull us back into fear. But slowly. Very slowly. Life began to settle. Not into what it was before. But into something honest. My parents started laughing again. Not the polite kind. The real kind that comes from relief. They stopped locking their doors out of fear. Stopped checking their phones constantly. The house felt lighter. But healing is not forgetting. We did not pretend my brother never existed. We simply accepted who he chose to become. And that was the hardest part. My mother said it best one evening. Sitting on the porch watching the sun go down. I loved the son I thought I had. But I can't protect the man he became. That sentence stayed with me. Because it was true. Love does not mean blindness. And family does not mean silence. The voicemail. That single accidental message. Was not the beginning of the betrayal. It was the warning. A warning that arrived just in time. If it hadn't, everything would have been different. My parents would have lost control. Lost trust in themselves. Lost peace. And my brother would have won. But revenge did not come in the form he expected. There was no shouting. No destruction. Just exposure. Just truth. And truth is powerful. It does not rush. It does not scream. It waits. And then it stands. Looking back now, I understand something I didn't before. People who rely on manipulation fear being seen. That is why silence protects them. And why speaking matters. The voicemail taught me that. It taught me that loyalty without honesty is dangerous. That love without boundaries becomes control. And that protecting peace sometimes means breaking it first. My brother never apologized. Not truly. But I stopped waiting for that. Because closure does not come from others. It comes from knowing you did the right thing. If you are holding a truth that scares you. If you are afraid that speaking will cost you everything. Remember this. Silence has a price too. And sometimes, the smallest message, the shortest mistake, is enough to change everything. Not through revenge, but through justice. Not through anger, but through courage. And in the end, that is what saved our family. Not the voicemail, but the choice to listen to it. Family should never require fear. Love should never demand silence. And trust should never be built on lies. When the truth finds you, do not run from it. Because even when it hurts, it protects. Sometimes, the bravest revenge is simply telling the truth.